As the world locked down due to the pandemic, there were some strange scenes that appeared on the empty streets. Across the globe, teddy bears started appearing in windows, in gardens and hanging from fences, and it became an informal teddy bear hunt for people out on their socially distanced walks. And this wasn't a project organised by a company, a government or any kind of central organisation. Instead, it was a community initiative that gained momentum and spread around the world. And it's far from the only example of local creativity. From chalk drawings through to scarecrows, community gardens to sports, there's a growing desire for people to actively shape the spaces around them. The traditional way that cities changed was very top-down. Governments, planners, designers, engineers and building owners would have the power to shape a city. But it turns out there's an alternative out there, a grassroots approach known as tactical urbanism. This is a low-cost, often temporary way of reshaping an urban space, generally led by neighbourhoods and communities. From pop-up spaces or closing streets off for markets and events, they're often DIY and people-focused. They're often the first step in testing an idea that might become permanent. For example, pedestrian-only areas or temporary bike paths that might later become permanent infrastructure. People like being creative, and art is one way to make a community feel more welcoming. Yarn bombing, or my preferred term guerrilla knitting, is a project in which people knit or crochet items in a public space, covering bridges or benches or even bicycles in colourful wool. And this was a project that started by a few creative individuals and has become a worldwide global phenomenon. Dr. Natalie Osborne from Griffith University has been involved in a series of tactical urbanism projects.
Guerrilla gardening can sometimes seem a bit innocuous, kitschy, apolitical, or even part of hipster-friendly gentrification. However, it can also be deeply knitted into struggles for urban space and spatial justice. Growing Forward, for example, came together during the pandemic to supply food to those who were struggling. They used neglected urban space to grow food, which they distribute to recently released refugees and local free kitchens, while actively resisting gentrification and fighting for affordable housing.
And it's not just art that can be shared, but also knowledge. One of the most delightful forms of tactical urbanism is known as the street library or little library. And the way it works is that someone sets up a box for books, and from there it's made available to the community, and people can take a book or leave a book. There's no signing it out. Once you've got it, you can read it, pass it on to a friend or return it. And this is a project that again is spread around the world, with thousands of these libraries made available and mapped online. Going beyond what can be added to the streetscape is a bigger question about how the streets themselves are used. Within cities, an enormous amount of space has been handed over to cars, and depending on the city, around 30% of the area is used for roads, and another 10 to 20% being used for parking. That's a lot of space being given up for a single use. And the question is increasingly being asked, how else can these spaces be used? Due to the pandemic and a desire to have more outdoor spaces, there's been a huge rise in the number of parklets. That is, car parks being handed over for restaurant, outdoor dining and recreation spaces. But whole streets have been given a new use. Play Streets is a program where streets are blocked off for cars and instead is handed over to the community for outdoor activities with kids and families to play. This is a great neighbourhood-led community building initiative that promotes outdoor education, activity and health amongst kids, builds community, and has the fun side effect of turning an out-of-bounds area into something filled with sports and games. One of the most powerful parts of these temporary initiatives is that it shows an alternative, and people have responded incredibly positively. Taking cars out of urban spaces reduces noise, emissions, and makes places more pleasant. So much so that it's happening around the world and cities are doing it en masse. The world-famous Champs-Élysées is becoming car-free and being turned into a garden after a successful pilot. People live in cities. These are homes for millions of people, and it's no surprise they want to shape the world around them. Tactical urbanism or urban placemaking is a great chance to unlock this creativity and bring some joy into the urban jungle.